Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Living Beyond Limitations. I am your host, Daniela Ibikiri. As you can see, I have a co-host today for the very first time, and she is.
Hi guys, my name is Awashima Atu, and I'm really excited to be here.
So today we are having a conversation with a very interesting guest, and you would so love the conversation with her. So, Awashima, who are we having today?
Her name is Freke Andrews. What's the third name?
Freke Andrew-Essien.
Yeah, okay. She's an amazing person, and we're really glad that she will be on the show today. Like her profile is just a lot. She's a coordinator of Bold Hearts Initiative and also the producer of Bold TV. She's also an advocate for persons with disabilities. And this is just to mention a few. And when she comes on board, you will hear more from her.
Yeah, we're going to hear a lot from her. And stay tuned as we dive into this conversation with her. Jumps rolling, so let's make welcome in the Freke Andrew-Essien. Yay! Hello, Freke. Welcome to Living Beyond Limitations. It's good to have you here. Like, I'm so happy having you here. I've never had a person with disability, like a lady with disability other than visual impairment. So you're the first, and I'm so excited having this conversation with you. So good to have you here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Our pleasure. Like beautiful and astounding lady with disability. So I can see a little, and I had to like zoom your picture, like, wow, this lady is so pretty. All right. So let's have this conversation. You sharing your journey. So your profile, like, it's a large one. You've done lots of work, lots of certifications, and wow, like it's amazing having a woman with a disability doing all that into a lot of things and what you're doing for the community. I am so what's the word I want to say?
No, it's just inspiring to just
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
what you've been doing in the community. And wow, just reading your profile, I was just it's like I don't even know, I'm just speechless. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Becky, please you can go ahead and tell us how you started this whole journey. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thanks, everyone. And it's a pleasure to be on your program. Um, and I'm always excited to share part of my story with the hope that somebody out there is inspired and motivated to understand that life is for living and not just for existing. By way of introduction, my name is Freke Andrew-Essien, but everybody calls me Freke or Ease, and maybe they like the funkified version, and it's fine. So Freke, that's my name. By way of identity with respect to the disability community, because I know you can't see my full image, I identify as
Yeah.
a woman with disability because I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. So I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury because I have observability, and that's why I identify as a person or a woman with disability. So that's by way of introduction. Um, um, for the community. It's a pleasure to be here because, like you said, I I'm the first woman with disability without a visual impairment to come on your
Yeah.
program. Matters,
Yeah.
but it's a pleasure. So, Freke Andrew-Essien is a young lady that comes from Akwa Ibom State. I'm based in Port Harcourt in Rivers State, and
Wow.
I wear many caps. So one of them is I run a non-profit organization called Freke Foundation. Freke Foundation is the acronym for Freke Andrew-Essien Care Foundation. I'm also a public health practitioner by way of research. I do research, and my academics are in public health. as well as basic medical sciences. I'm a music minister. I have recorded singles in the gospel sector, as well as the inspiration sector. And what else? I also do consultancy, nonprofit management, leadership consultancy, and I'm a disability advocate. I'm also a child rights advocate. These are some things that I do. Um, Not much, just a little. I can't come and be reeling out. I'm not very good at reeling out things that I do, but the little that I do, there's some of them. So thanks for having me. Over to you, ladies.
Once again, good to have you here. Yeah, you
Thank
say
you.
just little, but then it's a whole lot that you do. And I'm so inspired by what you do for the community. Okay, so we would like to know how you became a person using a wheelchair. We'd like you to share your story with us.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll try to be brief. So what I
Mm,
have is an acquired disability from a road traffic accident.
mm,
I was not born with a disability, so for most of my um, for my childhood, teenagehood, and young adulthood, I was a person without disability. And
mm,
when I went to university as an undergraduate, on one of those, I was in a medical school, so I remember that particular year we had a professional exam. So most of us chose to or opted to stay back in school for the Christmas holiday because the exams were coming up pretty early in the next year. So I had gone home earlier in the year or in that month to visit with my parents and then go back because I was a student of the University of Calabar. And so I returned back to school. And on the 26th, the day after Christmas, I was like, okay, let me take a break from overreading. And one of the modes of transport in Calabar at that time was the bike, the motorbike that you climb and you go where you want to go to. So I climbed the bike, having in mind to do some visitation in town outside of campus. Unfortunately, I didn't quite get to where I was going to because I were involved in an accident. And the
mm,
journey started there. As a medical student, I remember thinking, why can't I feel my legs? And when the Good Samaritans came to carry me into the vehicle that stopped, I remember severe pain in my back. So really conscious, people were like, why can't I stand up? And all I kept saying was my back, a lot of pain. And the story is very long, but to cut the long story short,
mm.
that's where it started.
Oh,
Had to be taken from Calabar to Port Harcourt to Lagos, immobilized on my back with all sorts of medical aid. From that December, I was on my back till about early the next year because I couldn't move at all. And what was required was surgery, and I had that surgery in Tel Aviv, in Israel. So
oh,
on the wheelchair, on the stretcher to Israel, and was able to have the surgery. According to the doctor, all they said they could do was help me to sit again because all that while I was bedridden and on my back. And so they did the surgeries. It was about two or more because it took quite a lot. So I had a burst fracture of the spine, and they did lumbar fusion. So they fused my back. So after all that, I had to start learning how to sit again
mm,
and things like that. That's how I became a person with disability. So it's an acquired disability as a young adult from spinal cord injury due to a road traffic accident. And I cut it very short so that I will not bore people and make people to get sad. but, but,
yeah. Mm.
Were
but
you,
that's kind of what happened. Yeah.
okay. Were you able to complete, were you able to go back to school and finish up?
That's another story all by itself. So, so after I had surgery. I was there for a while, and then I came back to Nigeria. I tried to get some information by way of a rehabilitation center or something that would be able to help me to figure out or navigate this whole new existence. It was not easy to find. So I had to find myself doing a lot by way of getting information online and trying to navigate the should I call it new normal? COVID-19 taught us new normal, my new normal. So in that process, I realized that it was going to take a bit longer than anticipated. So one of the things that I did was, while going through all of that, wrote a letter to school to let them know what was happening. So I was able to get a letter to pause my studies, and they said when I was able to come back, I should resume. But then, when I was ready to resume back in the medical, as I was in medicine and surgery. So when I was ready to come back, there was this college assembly, and I had the grace to go and defend myself. The concern at that time was that they didn't have facilities for me to be able to come and do clinicals, which was where I was at that time, to come back to continue. And then they were asking me all sorts of questions, which I didn't have answers to, and told them that it would be nice if we're able to navigate some of these concerns that they had. Remember the provost of the College of Medicine being very particular about, we're not going to waive anything for you. And I said, I don't need you to waive anything for me. I just need to have people that are willing to work with me to be able to navigate inaccessibility and things like that. But cut the long story short, according to them at that time, because these are things that thank God, with all that it's happening with the disability community and disability rights, my experience is not something that somebody should ever have again, considering where we are, on this journey and movement. But the decision at that time was that I needed to change my program from, medicine and surgery to another program. They recommended and felt that I would not be able to cope because I was now using a wheelchair and all of that. I defended because I'm very good at talking, but that didn't seem to sway them. It was very devastating because I just felt that there was a lack of understanding of this effort that this lady is trying to make to be able to come back, having had her life kind of thrown upside down or into terrain that is uncharted. But one of the things that helped me to come back was clarity on a goal that I had. One of the clear goals that I had was that I must be an undergraduate, that going back to school was not an option. That was kind of clear for me because, with disability, especially in our community, there's this, don't stress yourself, or don't worry too much. You even tried, that kind of thing. And if you are someone who is not self-determined or clear on maybe what your goals are, it's easy to fall into that. But one thing that was clear for me was that I was going to be a graduate, whether anybody liked it or not. Okay. So that helped me to evaluate how I was going to achieve that. So here I was trying to go back to what I knew. I was told that you cannot go back to school that I was familiar with, and told that in order for you to come back, you have to change your course. So I asked myself, what are the options? The options were to go back and write JAM and do an entire new course, or stick with what I know and find what I could chart with this acquired disability. So it was having that clear, should I say, decision-making process helped me to decide to, number one, change university to a more conducive environment that was closer to home, that I could get the care that I needed at that time. Because I was just, like I said, I was still trying to navigate the terrain. I didn't really have answers. I would ask doctors, they can't really give me a lot of information because we don't really have good rehabilitation services, especially for spinal cord injury. So I needed to be close to a support system, and that support system was my immediate family. So that was clear that I needed to change university to where we are based in. I'm resident in Port Harcourt. Even though I come from Akwa Ibom State, I grew up and was, brought up in Port Harcourt, River State. So changing university was one. And then looking at the courses available in the line that I know, which is in the medical field. So we made inquiries on the possibility of doing an inter-university transfer. And they said it was possible to do that. So I went back to school in basic medical science, that's human physiology. I didn't want to change at all because that's what I know. I've always been a science person and medical sciences, so I stuck with that. And by the grace of God, I was able to do that inter-university transfer, go back to school. This is after a long time. And at the end of the day, I was able to complete my BSc in human physiology. I graduated with a 2-1. And then I didn't stop there just because I felt that I needed to make a point. So I went back and I did a master's in physiology as well, human physiology. And at around that point, I started exploring the non-profit sector, and that's another story by itself. So I started exploring the non-profit sector. So I felt that it would be good to add some, apart from short courses, to do something that would tally also with that space. So I also went back and I did a master's in public health, also to prove a point. So that was my journey in academics. The journey hasn't stopped because I'm still going to school, currently doing a PhD and trying to even
Oh,
do another
wow.
master's.
Another master's. Wow. I love your
Yes, and
determination. Like, wow.
yes, maybe
It
some of
is.
us are like school too much. I don't know.
Yeah, you're one of those
Sound like a professor.
already. And I just love the way you speak, just to say that.
Nice voice.
Yeah. I didn't mention this. I was a Botanical girl as well. Brought up
Yeah.
there until university had to move to my state here, Bielsa. My husband is a Botanical man as well, so it's a Botanical thing.
I think that's right now.
So how were you able to cope with emotional hurdles, having to switch from being a medical doctor to another field?
The others that come with, psychological trauma that comes with having something happen to you. I have had and still have those experiences.
Oh,
But I think one of the things that has helped me so far to continue to push is that I have personally validated my stay on this earth is validated. I personally feel and have affirmed that the fact that I didn't die on that day of the
hmm,
accident means that I remained here for a purpose. So, being a medical student in university, I think I need to tell the story because it's going to help somebody. When I had to
hmm,
change my course from actually graduating as a doctor, one
hmm.
of the things I asked myself was, why did I want to be a doctor? If you do not ask yourself some very strong questions and
Question.
be honest,
Wow.
you will not be able to move. So I asked myself very, very calmly, so why did you want to become a doctor? Some people do courses because that's what your parents wanted, or that's what
Yeah.
everybody expected you to do, things like that. In my case, it was not about what my parents wanted. I had to dig deep to find out what was the reason for choosing medicine and surgery as a
Hmm.
path. What was that reason? Because even getting into school had a testimony in itself. What was the reason? And I was able to find that the core reason behind why I wanted to do that was because I wanted to help people. Now,
Oh,
why was that important to note? Because it helped me to understand that being able to help people or impact the lives of other people, that I could express it on different platforms. If I couldn't do it in the clinical setting, then which other setting would I do that? Because at the end of the day, the purpose was not necessarily becoming a medical doctor, but was about impacting lives. So I had to find a way to express it. And I asked God, okay, so how can I express this purpose seriously
hmm.
if I do not do it in the clinical setting, if I do not do it in a hospital setting, where and where else can this be done? And in that place of ruminating, trying to ask God, meditate on it, try to work it out, I had a friend who said, she's working for an NGO, an INGO, an international organization, and that they wanted volunteers. So I was like, okay, I've always liked volunteering. I remember volunteering as a medical student for a rural medical outreach. So I was like, ooh, volunteering, awesome opportunity. So I applied to volunteer with that international organization. They had an office here in Port Harcourt, and their work was in HIV and AIDS prevention and treatment. So I remember applying, and I remember not hearing back from them. And me being me, I now knew where their office was. So I marched to their office to go ask them. I applied to volunteer, and I have it as a fact that other people that applied, because I also had a friend who applied, have been called to come and volunteer. Please, pretty. Why haven't I been called? And I remember the country director being very confused. And I told her, Ma, just be honest with me. Thank you for seeing me, but just be honest. And she just clearly stated that the truth is that they did not really know how to engage me. They had concerns because of the way they work in communities in different parts of River State. So they were concerned. And I told her, thank you for being honest with me. Now, one of the key ways that we can work together is to mention what the concerns are, and then we can work together to overcome them. For me, being put aside as a volunteer just because we do not know how to navigate the concerns will be detrimental to me. I applied to be a volunteer, and I want to serve as a volunteer in the capacities available. And that was the end of that, because automatically she knew that there was no limitations, as it were. So I found myself being invited to come to different communities. We did the trainings, we started doing the counseling and the testings, like no limits. And all of a sudden, I now found that this was an awesome platform to be able to express that purpose. And I worked there as a volunteer, ended up being an intern, ended up being a staff, started working with the Orphans and Vulnerable Children unit. A really awesome experience. And that was a nudge that the nonprofit sector was a place where I could express that purpose very comfortably. And in 2013, I was able to launch Freke Foundation as that platform as an NGO where I could continue to work in that structured environment to bring that kind of, to express that kind of purpose, to be able to reach out to people, to be able to impact lives in different capacities. That birthed Freke Foundation 2013. It's an expression of purpose at the end of the day. One of the expressions of purpose. And one of the reasons why I dove into that story is because sometimes we think that it's only one way that we can express our purpose in life, and it's not true. If we're dependent on has the blueprint, we can begin to discover different ways at different points in our lives where we can continue to dig deep into what our purpose is. It's been an amazing journey in this sector. Growth, a lot of growth in that space, doing so much and other things. And I think sharing our stories also helps people, not just ourselves. Because when I show my story, every time I learn something new about myself. So sharing others, in the shoes, and those not in the shoe, to know that there really is no vacuum. And at the end of the day, small, step by step. Don't try to do things at once, because it's not about where you're going to necessarily. It's about the journey. It's not about the destination per se.
Destination, it's about the journey, the process.
Yes, because destination ends when you die. So if you're too focused on the destination, you're going to miss the entire experience of the journey.
Wow.
I think I told Daniela when she told me that Freke will be coming on our podcast. I told her that when I met you, I was very timid in 2021. You facilitated the program that I was a participant in, and you changed. You're part of the reason why I am where I am today, because you really inspired me. Just seeing this very strong, confident woman, and I was so timid I couldn't even talk in public. And just seeing that really inspired me. I was like, wow, if she can do this, then I think I can. And over the years, you've always been a mentor to me too. And yeah, I just want to say thank you. Just hearing your story again is still inspiring.
Oh yeah, and I can see that in her. She has also inspired me, learning from you. And I'm like, who is this person? Like, she's also so confident, out there speaking. I lost my sight before she did, but when a friend of mine connected her to me, I was like, wow, I need to learn from this person. She just moved on and she has been an inspiration to me. Now I now know that she also got mentored by you. Wow. So good to have here once
Wow,
again.
I feel very blessed. Thank you so
Hmm.
much for sharing.
So Shima, do you have another question for us?
Yeah, like your songs. So I'm someone that's always really interested in music, and I've listened to a couple of your songs. Just to say, I've always liked all of them. Have you always been a singer, or the becoming a person with disability bring that out? Purpose for singing, sharing maybe your story or your faith through songs. Did it come after you became a woman with disability?
No, it didn't come after. So I've always sang. I've always sang. So from children's choir, teenage choir, all the choirs. So I've
Wow.
always sang. I've always been expressive in that way. I've always loved singing. I've always loved dancing. And instead, what even really happened was that after I had a disability, with spinal cord injury, depending on the level of the injury, one of the things that is affected is muscle function. So apart from sensory function, one of the other things that is affected is motor function. So your ability to tone your muscles. Okay, I shouldn't go to medical, but you get it. So, so it affected. So it affected my ability to like really hold notes. People don't believe. So after I had the accident, I had difficulty singing because I had
Mhm.
difficulty with holding my breath because of level
Wow.
of injury. So where I went to for medical, I said that one of the first series of surgeries that I had was in Israel. And when I came out of hospital, interestingly, that's why people on your journey are really important as well. And God has a way of putting them at the right time,
Yeah.
different. So my auntie in Sunday school, who was my choir leader when I was a child, interestingly, had moved to Israel with her husband, where they were pastoring a redeemed church. She was also working in the Nigerian embassy there. And so we connected again. And when I left the hospital, when we left the hospital, because we didn't want to, I couldn't travel back immediately because I had to learn or relearn how to sit again. So the timing
Wow.
that I had to spend, we had the opportunity to stay in their place. And because she knew I could sing, so she started insisting that
Hmm.
before I leave, I had to sing a special number in church. I was like, this woman does not understand that I cannot hold a breath to save my life. So she kept she kept dropping it like a hint, and I kept dodging it like a hint. I was like, nope, not singing, not singing. I will continue to listen to music. There are two things that music is for me. Music is a form of therapy for me. Um, Emotional navigation. I'm able to navigate my emotions through the
Hmm.
vehicle of music.
Very
Yes, so
cool.
it's
Wow.
very cool. Yes, I would have sang, but we're on Zoom, so it will not now sound somehow. So feel free to Google. So check that
We'll
song out. So
definitely
that's
put we'll definitely put your links
Yeah.
for everyone to
yeah.
listen to your amazing songs.
So you
Hmm.
can
Yeah,
imagine the frustration of now not being able to sing because of
yeah.
disability. So when Mama Sue kept insisting that before I leave, I'm going to sing in church. I said, this problem. These are the challenges. So, so that Sunday, she just came and told me, hey, so today is the day. I said, this woman, she just shock you like this. I will just ignore you. She didn't know all these internal battles. She didn't know that I was
Oh,
struggling to hold. For anybody who sings, you cannot sing without breath. Like,
breath. Yeah.
sing, they don't go together. So she now said, pick a song. In fact, she said she'll give me the song that is a song she really loves. I was in my mind, I was like, oh, today is the day. I'm going to disgrace myself. Now, mark you all this while sitting on the wheelchair. I'll sit on the wheelchair for like 10 to 15 minutes and I have to lie down. So it's not as if I was sitting, I was still learning how to sit. I was still
Wow.
wearing all the spinal braces, all sorts of things. And here was this mentor insisting that today you're going to say, I was like, okay. So that morning came, me, I had already decided like they call me, I'll just do as if I'm not hearing. Then she now say, this is something I really love. My Redeemer lives. I say, that's where the thing has faults, absolutely and completely. We'd even say, come and sing one simple song, and he says, I know my Redeemer lives. Okay, because I believe. And she now, that day, she was now very excited. I now looking out to dodge. And she now called in front of the entire congregation in a foreign land. She
Are
said,
you
come and
serious? Oh,
sing.
wow. Congregation. Wow.
Full-blown large audience. She now
Wow.
announced with plenty CV. Oh, it was my smally in children. I was like, okay. So at that time, it was one or two things. It's either I refuse or I go and try. And I'm not necessarily a quitter. I like to try. So I just summoned up courage. I went up to go and try with my spinal brace, with my limited sitting, with my non-working muscles. And
Wow.
somehow I sang. And God, boy,
Wow.
did I sing. And I haven't stopped singing since then. I
Oh,
haven't
wow.
stopped singing since. The body is a very powerful, powerful, powerful instrument. It's a way your body will just recalibrate itself. Not because my muscles are any better or anything, but figured out how to work out the breath thing, figured out how to still have a real powerful voice where they still beg me inquire that if you give Freke mic, you better sing or else her voice will just be the only one they will hear. Because because of the power behind it, I'm like, oh, if you only knew that there was a time where it wasn't happening and I was about to now let it go. So I really thank God for that testimony. So music has always been a tool and a vehicle for me to use for emotional, it's an emotional therapy. It's a vehicle for passing information, just a real all-round powerful tool for me. So instead of answering your question simply, I now went and told a long story, but I hope that the story made sense to you.
I learned something through it. I really did. I think mine, when I became a person with disability, mine was through books. I love books, so I think me too, I gave up on it because I did not know that as a blind lady, I could still read like that at that point. So it was really, it's more added to my depression. But finding out that I could still read, I think it really helped me to really get over my disability also. So yeah, I understand when you mean when you say music also, so it's form of therapy like that.
I see some of your posts. You're so full of faith, professing faith and all that. You're a recording artist and, a song minister. So I just want to ask if you face discrimination in church.
Oh yes, I surely have faced discrimination, and I'm sure the persons didn't know that it was discrimination. When they say things like your faith is not strong enough, that's why you cannot walk.
Mm.
When they say things, how can you be singing like this so powerfully, and yet you're sitting
Wow.
on a wheelchair? That means
Oh
you
my
don't believe the
God.
God that you sing.
So people. Wow.
Anybody believes that no matter what you sing and bring down the heaven down, and the person is fixated on the fact that you use a wheelchair, so the person doesn't hear the message. Or when somebody says that, when I saw you, I was like, these people are coming again today, and they don't know that that's discriminatory. Or when a
Hmm.
pastor feels that's why he wants to prove his call to God by making you walk again when God is sending that message, that is discriminatory. So yes, I've had
Hmm.
all of these yes, discrimination is there in the body of Christ, in the faith community, whether we like it or not. But
Yeah.
am I here to follow people? No, I'm here to
No.
follow God. He's
Yes,
fine with me.
exactly. Just a few minutes. Tell us about Bold Hearts Initiative and what you do on Bold TV. Like I've watched a couple of episodes, I had to go and check. I was like, wow, so there are a lot of ladies with disabilities. Sometimes I just feel like I'm the only one because I've really not connected with a lot of them. I'll just say just Awashima. That's really like the only person, lady with disability. And I watched an episode like married women on your boat TV. I'm like, oh, they're actually married women living with disability. I'm like, wow. I was so impressed. So just a brief of what you do, both
Okay.
as initiative and both TV, your message there.
Okay. So, like I said, we do very many things. If I want to have different conversations about different parts of my life, we will
Mm.
probably do many part series of this. Bold TV is just one aspect. Bold Heart Initiative is another NGO,
Mm.
and we bring Bold TV. So Bold TV is basically a support system network that is there to create awareness about gender and disability intersection in different fields and in different ways. So it's a program for the public by women with disabilities. That's the best way I can describe it about issues that affect women with disabilities. So we have different co-hosts and we come together, everybody has their topics, and they curate that topic to ensure that we shed the gender and disability light where they intersect, we talk about it. And then we prefer information on how persons can navigate it, also enlightening the public about these issues as well. So that's what Bold TV naturally is about. Using social media space, YouTube, using Facebook, we've been able
Okay.
to have so many conversations, bring a lot of women on the program, women with expert opinions, women with disabilities. And as God will help us, we'll continue to do that. The feedback
Yeah.
has really been amazing. So really, that's what OTP is. So it's
Okay.
based on the support group system. That's what Bold Hearts Initiative is about.
Okay. So, Shimara, up for us.
Thank you very, very much. It has been an interesting conversation. I'm really glad that you could make it, and we will definitely call you back to come back because we know that you kept saying we have so many. Your life is just a lot. Did I say a lot? Okay, so you have a lot of stories to share,
Oh,
Yeah.
and
so
we can't be exhausted today.
all right.
All
Thank you, thank you, thank
right.
you, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Like, I feel so excited having this conversation with you. You're so full of life. I just love your energy and vibes. And like I said, having a lady with disability and not just visual impairment. So wonderful having this conversation with you. Looking forward to having more conversations with you as we love to hear more of your life. Your life seems so interesting. So thank you once again for being here. Yeah.
Thank you, Becky.
Daniela, thank you, Washima. Thank you. And please continue to have these conversations with other people as well. And let's learn from each other. There's so much to learn from
Yeah.
one another.
Yes. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for watching today's episode of Living Beyond Limitations.
We hope that you had a very nice time. We were inspired and really motivated, and we hope that you were too.
Yeah. All right. Bye for now. Until next time, do stay tuned for more inspiring stories like that of Freke Andrew-Essien.
Daniela, please share, like, and subscribe. Bye.
Yeah, bye. And remember to go online and look at for our music. We'll be sharing the links with you on the description box.
Yeah.